The original Legend of Zelda is one of the most significant video games in our lifetime. It's also nearly 40 years old. As time goes by, so too does its history. In today's video, I spotlight the perspectives of three wise men who will tell you exactly what the Legend of Zelda was like back in the day. I'm Captain Keaton, and this is the Legend of Zelda.
Okay, it was 1987, correct?
I think so.
So I would have been around 8 years old, or 7 or 8, and that's when you're very, yeah, you get influenced very easily by whatever you see on TV, like He-Man and Ninja Turtles. Everyone loved that. Um, Easily impressionable. You're very impressionable at that age.
Well, first Legend of Zelda, my first exposure to the Legend of Zelda, it was released in 87 here. I don't think I played it till 88 or 89. My friend had it. That's the same friend I played the first NES game on. This wasn't the first NES game I played, but it was one of the later one of them it was like a few after he got it. I would have been in 87. I think I would have been heading into third grade, I think.
At that time, I was around 8 years old, and I used to go to a babysitter's after school and during the summer months. And it's actually kind of cool because her youngest son was a teenager. He was around 17 or 18 at the time. He actually had a Sega Master System, so my first 8-bit system I ever saw was the Master System, and he had Wonder Boy and Monsterland, which was really cool because that was something I had never seen before. I mean, the colors were popping. It was a really cool game.
So I think Super Mario was my first introduction to video games. So that, I fell in love with that. That's kind of like my first memory of playing a video game on a console. But then there was this other mysterious game out on the horizon called The Legend of Zelda, and I would see the ads for it. There was a lot of silly television ads for it on TV, and it looked like kind of like a little hack and slash, or little shooter type of game with shooting a sword. And I didn't know, I wasn't super interested with the ads, but the buzz was going around school. Everyone's talking about this game Zelda.
It's you don't really, looking at it, you don't really look at it like this when you're playing it. I played with them. We didn't know anything about the game, so we had the manual and the map, and we'd look at it and we'd play the game, read the manual, and we'd tell each other what to do. We'd try to help each other, and we were able to get pretty far with just that map, the hint book, and stuff. And we did beat it at his place, and I later got a copy of it myself. But that was my first exposure to the Legend of Zelda around third grade at my friend's house, and in Western Pennsylvania, rural Western Pennsylvania.
Their next door neighbor had a son that was a year or two younger than me, but we made friends, and I went over to his house one time, and he had the Nintendo, and not a system I had ever seen before. And I think we were playing, I think he had put in Bases Loaded. I think it was the first one. And I got looking through his games. I saw this gold cart, and that was really good marketing, I feel like, on Nintendo's part, especially with this game, because, I mean, it stuck out, and especially as a kid, you're like, whoa, what is this? This is really cool looking. And so put that in and played it, and it was awesome just because, too, you could save your progress. That was sorcery at the time. That was a frustrating thing with games sometimes, because you'd either have to put a password or something like that. And so to be able to, get items and things like that, and be able to save it and then go back to it and it be there, it was fun.
I hadn't played much Atari before that, or in television or anything, so I didn't realize what a big jump it was from that that generation to this type of game on Nintendo. But just this big open area where you can go explore, and there's monsters everywhere. You get lost, you don't even know where to go. But man, super interesting. Like, even if I didn't know what to do, like, I'd still want to play that game and find new secrets and talk about it with the friends at school. I might be going off the subject with your question, but I don't think we knew anyone at the time that could beat it. Maybe it's like, maybe we had words somewhere. There was some really smart kid that was an exchange student from Japan. Kiyoshi can beat it, or something like that, or maybe someone's like nerdy brother, or someone's like older brother, or like if their dad was like kind of a nerd. But I didn't really know anyone that could beat it for, it seemed like a while.
Looking at the time, it's like you're playing it and you're not thinking, wow, this is going to change my life forever. It's a game, you're a kid, you're enjoying it, you're having fun, it's something to do, you're really hooked on it. I remember a feeling of like, there wasn't anything quite like it. Like, even on the NES, the games I played Mario 2, which I really love, and that was another one like I wasn't quite like anything else I played. But coming from the Atari, there was all those experiences where every game you saw in the NES was a new experience, a mind-blowing experience, because Atari, very simple arcade games, single screens, high score. NES had more longer games where you could actually complete more adventures with deeper gameplay, and Zelda was the top of those early games. That and probably Super Mario 2, that had, like, it seemed like a sense of wonder, like you could do anything in this game, even though it's very limited in its structure. The structure it does is very it has you feel like you're adventuring and feel a series of wonderment, like how big is this world. And what came with it, with the book and the map and the hint book, really added to that.
Definitely the dungeons was really cool. It was kind of cool to like go into this different area, and and it was different from the other part of the game. I didn't beat it until I actually bought the game, but I just remember it being difficult for me because I never really, at that time, never got like all the hearts and things like that. And so the number count to how many games I played, I remember being pretty high. So it definitely took me some time. But yeah, it was tough until I did meet a certain person like within my neighborhood who kind of helped me out with that. It was like finding the items, like the heart containers in the overworld, where you're sitting there, and of course you don't get the red candle until later on in the game. So there you are, like going back and forth off the screen, trying to burn every single tree, or like you bomb every rock until you run out, and then you have to go find some more, or find some more rupees and things like that. So it definitely becomes time consuming, or just like, I'm just going to move on and let's see how far I can go, kind of a thing.
I know when I was a kid, I would not, I was like the definition of insanity. I just keep trying the same thing over and over, and it never works. I think that does kind of make you better, though, like the experience, like playing a game over and over and over and over. But I could never beat it back then, but I would play it all the time. Even if I just would start, I get lost around like Dungeon 4, or they're called labyrinths, right? Labyrinths. I would get stuck at maybe 4 or 5. I wouldn't know where to go, and sometimes I just started over and played all over, just like the first 4 or 5 dungeons. So I could never beat it until I even had, I don't know if you can see, I had the official Nintendo's player's guide, and this kind of was a big help. I forgot to mention, because it had the first 4 dungeon maps in it. Maybe that's why I could only do. I had up to 6, but I don't think I could even find 6. But this official Nintendo's Player's Guide, it came with our Nintendo, and we had that, but I could never beat it. But it's actually a pretty challenging game in some spots. I know you're probably good at it because you're getting into those shooter games.
Yeah.
But there's a couple areas in that game, like when you get overwhelmed with like the dark nuts with the whiz robes and the little bubbles that make your sword not work. I forget what they're called. But when you get in those hairy dungeon rooms with all those guys, it kind of feels like you're playing like a bullet hell type shooter type thing. I'm not really into those games, but I can imagine that's what it is when you get into some of those areas. So some of the areas are very hard, but just like any good like RPG type game, you can grind for money, get better equipment, get fairies or get the potions.
And that's about going to do it for what it was like playing The Legend of Zelda back in the day. These are excerpts from several interviews I have already done and posted to the channel, available for your viewing pleasure. So go ahead and give them a watch and a listen if you haven't already. Also, I will be sharing my own thoughts, opinions, and experience in the upcoming Legend of Zelda retrospective video. It will be posting this Friday, so stay tuned for it, and you got front row tickets. Cheers! And let me know your own experience with The Legend of Zelda.